We talked about Sharon Moore to open up the show. Now I think it's time to pivot to Jonathan Smith, who, they've hit a new rock bottom over in East Lansing, to say the least. They've hit a new rock bottom because they lost to UCLA, and they didn't just lose, they got their butts kicked in. Bad. Right? There was already a lot of smoke, whether or not Jonathan Smith should still be employed for the Spartans, whether or not they want to climb out of this pitiful hole that they have fallen into, which is the worst team in the Big Ten. Right? You got to fix that before the public image of Michigan State starts going way downwards. Look, because now it's been, 4 straight seasons of mediocre football. It's a whole class of high schoolers that have never seen Michigan State football have a successful program. You got to turn that around rather fastly if you want to start landing these recruits and building this program back up. Otherwise, you're going to sink down to the bottom and never get yourself back up. Now, there's a reason that he hasn't been fired quite yet, and there's a reason that this decision's going to be a little bit harder than just he's not a good coach. It's the buyout. The buyout is outrageous. Jonathan Smith's contract is set up to where if they want to buy him out, if they did it today, for the next 62 months, they would owe Jonathan Smith $509,000 every month until January of 2031. 6 years they'd have to pay him, which would add up to $31 million by the end of it. That's just the buyout. His salary is about $7 million a year, which is the exact same as Marcus Freeman, who's running a successful Notre Dame program, who just got this team to a national championship bid a season ago. Jonathan Smith was overpaid, and that is very clear. That is very evident. I wanted this thing to work out. I think this is a good guy. He kept Marsh, kept Aiden Childs, kept him from hitting the portal, and it looked like he was actually growing something in Michigan State. They've regressed, right? This defense is god-awful. The offensive line can't protect Aiden Childs for more than half a second, let alone 3. He's under constant pressure. It causes him to make mistakes. I'm not trying to be an Aiden Childs defender because he makes a couple boneheaded throws every single game that are just inexcusable. But, man, he is under constant duress the entirety of the game. Look what happened to UCLA when they fired that inaudible weirdo, Deshaun Foster. They instantly rip off 2 wins. One against Penn State and one against Michigan State on the road. Michigan State, if they want to climb out of irrelevancy, needs to get this done sooner rather than later. Because if they wait and wait and wait, there's going to be a whole generation of kids playing football in high school that have never watched a successful Michigan State program and are going to ask themselves, why on earth would I go to Michigan State? They've got awesome NIL stuff. They've got, and Jay Batt's going to make that even better, their new athletic director. They've got awesome facilities, more so than Indiana, more so than Illinois, more so than UCLA. Yet, all these teams are outperforming them in the Big Ten. I don't think it's an overstatement to say Michigan State is the worst team in the Big Ten because right now I have a hard time picking them to win another conference game the rest of the season. So what is Michigan State going to do? Jonathan Smith here to stay. Jonathan Smith here to go. You got to make a decision rather quickly.
Yeah, I mean, to say they've regressed is, I think, even an understatement. This is a team that is going to go into the final week of October without a win in the conference. You know, that's terrible. They're obviously going to get smacked by Indiana this week. You look forward, yeah, there's maybe a couple games on the schedule that you think maybe they can sneak out a win, but that's not the point of the conversation. Like, the fact that even is, you're talking about that is unreal. To me, this is something I saw on social media this weekend that was the biggest eye-opener to this current state of the program. Everyone who follows Michigan State knows of Brandon Dawson, right? You remember Brandon Dawson. Played at MSU, really good basketball player, played in the NBA for a few years in the early 2010s. He tweets on a picture that Nick Marsh's mother posted on Twitter.
Oh, God.
A picture of Nick Marsh. And it just said, like, stay strong, son, like something like that. And it was a picture of Nick Marsh. He comments on that tweet and tells her that Nick Marsh needs to transfer and leave Michigan State. He went to MSU. He still reps MSU. Like, he still supports Michigan State, goes back to the university. Like, he's all about MSU, former basketball player there. Telling Nick Marsh's mom via social media publicly that her son needs to transfer. I mean, are we
what's
serious?
that say about the program, man?
What does that say about the current state of the program? That is not something that Michigan State should ever have to deal with. This is the part that frustrates me so much is why is Michigan State not acting like, but just it feels like they're in a different tier than all these other programs. Teams like Indiana and Illinois even, who have now come back into relevancy. Like these other teams that have just taken so quick to figure things out and become relevant in college football. Michigan State is not some program that is a poverty program. They're not a Northwestern. They're not a Minnesota. They're not these other bottom tier of Purdue, Big Ten teams. But why are they grouping themselves with them? They had a ton of success in the 21st century, man. Even 10 years ago, like even 5 years ago. Like, it took them a while. You know, D'Antonio, he overstayed probably, and it took them some years to figure things out there. But, man, the whether it's the ghost of Mel Tucker or whatever it is that's still haunting this program, clearly things need to be changed. And, unfortunately, you talk about that buyout number with Jonathan Smith, and it makes it hard to think it actually is going to happen. Does it need to happen? 100%. I think all the Michigan State alumni know it, and that was made evident via social media.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to keep wanting to increase this NIL and get donor money, you're going to have to do exactly what the alumni base wants, what the fan base wants, what the donors want.
That's why they fired Alan Haller and brought in Jay Batt.
I have a really hard time. Anyone that's donating real money to MSU is in favor of keeping this guy around at this point. It's a shame. I wanted this to work out. I really did. I thought it would be dumb to do it prematurely, but for anyone out there who is yelling from the top of the mountain that this should have been done a long time ago, you were right.
Yeah.
You were totally right. There is supposed to be about $200 million worth of buyouts by the end of the season for college football coaches. James Franklin, one of them. Luke Fickell, soon to be one of them at Wisconsin, I'd imagine, at some point.
Potentially Jonathan Smith.
Jonathan Smith's going to contribute to that a ton. Billy Napier, I'd imagine, is gone at some point.
Really?
Probably, right?
I mean, they had a big win against Texas.
That's what they do every year. They disappoint, but then they put together a few wins at the end of the season, and it's like, oh, Florida's back. No, they're not. This is an irresponsible contract that Michigan State gave this man. You know he's making $1 million more per season than Sharon Moore is? He's making more than Sharon Moore. And I'm not even trying to tell you Sharon Moore's this great coach, but what the hell has Jonathan Smith done to make more than Sharon Moore?
That's the issue, man. I want to sit here and make fun of Sharon Moore as much as I can, but then you look down the road at Michigan State's coach and you're like, well, I can't say anything there.
Both of these coaches, man.
If this buyout wasn't even a factor here, like let's just say it was not clearly as crazy of a contract, had like 2 years left or something, he'd have been fired after the UCLA game. That was an instant firing after that game. I mean, what an embarrassment. I don't care that UCLA is caught lightning in a bottle after beating Penn State. I really don't. You're 10-point favorites nearly on homecoming against a team that fired their entire coaching staff.
Who's traveling across the country to play you at noon, which is 9 a.m. their time.
That is just inexcusable, that loss, and the way you lost as well.
Yeah, it wasn't just a loss.
Yeah, and look, we obviously know that what comes with firing Jonathan Smith, you're going to lose Nick Marsh, you're going to lose a lot of these other guys that you have committed to you that are, you know, when you brought Jonathan Smith in, it was a long-term play. Like, this is still a younger Michigan State team.
It's time to tear this thing down to the studs.
You're going to lose Nick Marsh no matter what. You know, that guy deserves to go play somewhere else where he's going to get his respectable draft evaluation because he's that good. So it's super frustrating. This is not what Michigan State football is, man. Like this is we were talking about this pre-show.
Well, here's the sad thing, Kyle. This is what Michigan State football is. It's what it's been for a whole recruiting cycle.
Yeah, you're right. But like what I was going to say is you and I talked about this pre-show. Like there's no juice for the Michigan State game. Unless it's like maybe that's the game where Jonathan Smith can save his job.
I think we're beyond that. I really do. Do you think they're winning this weekend?
Of course not. They're 30-point underdogs.
Exactly. Is that what it's going to take?
In a conference football game, they are 30-point underdogs to the Indiana Hoosiers.
Who have a second-year head coach.
Is this the real world that I'm living in 2025? It's unreal. No, Nick Marsh is not going to Michigan, by the way. I've already seen that 1,000 times ever since this has been going down.
Ian letting us know in the YouTube
he's
chat
for sure
that Nick
going
Marsh
to the
is
SEC, but whatever.
yeah, he's going to do the exact same thing. Well, I
Yeah,
guess
oh wait,
it could
I want
be
to
the
get
ACC.
wait, I want to get drafted as a wide receiver. Let me go to Michigan. Yeah. It's a great idea.
He could end up in the ACC. That's what Coleman ended up doing.
Yeah, he
just
could
go
do
down
that.
to Florida State.
Yeah, I mean just anywhere where it's going to be anywhere else, man.
Just go play with a good quarterback. He'll
Yeah.
get drafted at some point.
Absolutely.
989-837-6125. So we both want Jonathan Smith gone, but who's going to replace him if that ends up happening? Well, how about the guy that plays a few states over or coaches a few states over or at least used to coach a few states over?